Let's go, baby. We are here, and you guys have officially entered the ozone. It's your boy Omar here with my co-host, super producer Dave himself. We had this very festive holiday episode of the Ozone, brother. How you feeling?
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays for those of you who don't celebrate, but we're happy to bring you guys a beautiful gift and let's get this going.
It's gonna be a good show. But before we discuss everything, because we got a full packed show, brother, I just want to talk about traditions, man. And everybody has a Christmas tradition that they normally, have and stuff like that. So, brother, what's yours? What's a tradition in the Vega household?
So, me and my wife, few years married, so we don't have built-in traditions so far like the ones that you would expect, for some time. But I know for sure, like at least with growing up, my family, we celebrated Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve was the day. Like Christmas Day was more of the like everybody chills, kids play with the gifts and everything like that. But Christmas Eve was the party. That was the time to be there. Kids are opening gifts at 12 o'clock. Santa comes through. Somebody would dress up as Santa, come through. The coquito's going. The music's been playing. Something's on the TV, but everything's on mute because we're listening to the music, and it's just a good time.
Right, right. And it's almost the same thing. I know my immediate family, my mom, my brother, we would do more Christmas morning. We did Christmas Eve, Noche Buena for our Spanish audience, with the entire family. And now being married, my wife and I, we kind of follow the same thing. We spend time with her family on Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day is usually the tradition that I grew up on, where you open your gifts in the morning, you have some breakfast, and you tap into the NBA. And that's what I want to talk about starting off this show, the NBA Christmas tradition. For those that don't know, Christmas is a big thing in the NBA. The NBA, this is where the NBA pretty much they rule the day. NBA always has the best teams going against each other, if not the stars going against each other. And that's no different this year. The NBA will have 5 games starting from 12 noon to the late night hours of NBA action on Christmas Day. And brother, we gotta discuss them all.
Yeah, I mean, we have quite a few games. We got 5 games slated for Christmas Day. And the good thing is our Knicks are playing.
You sure right. And the Knicks, the Knicks have now been the Knicks has been a regular staple within the Christmas lineup. But during the down years, we weren't getting the Christmas game, but we got one again this year, and it's the first game, 12 noon, against the San Antonio Spurs. Wemby and the Spurs are coming to the Garden, and they're taking on our New York Knicks, and I think this is going to be a good matchup. I scratched my head in the very beginning, when the schedule came out, before the season, and I'm like, why are we going against the Spurs? And now it's not looking like a bad matchup.
No, it's not. Wemby is really coming into his own, and Chris Paul is a good addition to that team. They are talking about other moves that they can make, and this is not a Spurs channel, but I did hear rumors of them trying to get Fox. Maybe that works out for them. But they are a team that's coming on its own, and Wemby he's showing he's all the hype is like worth it for him.
Yeah, Wemby is just a freak of nature. And speaking on that, the De'Aaron Fox news, being here in Miami, you're hearing that they're also linked to Jimmy Butler. So, but right now the Spurs are sitting at 15 and 13. They're playing good ball. Right now they've won two straight. They're in that playoff, the play-in standings right now. They sit ninth. And I think that's where they're gonna be. I think their ceiling this season is playing potentially maybe last playoff spot depending on matchups. But like you said, this ain't a Spurs channel, man. This is a New York channel, and we got to talk about the Knicks, man. The Knicks are rolling right now. The Spurs are not playing that Knicks team we saw a couple weeks back, where they looked like they were getting, they were still trying to figure things out. Right now, I wouldn't say that the Knicks are clicking on all cylinders, but man, they are really close, brother.
I mean, everything changed for me, at least in my opinion, after that Hawks game. And somebody said something in the locker room. Something was done because ever since then they've been on a tear. And this is the Knicks team that we felt like we had the potential of seeing this year. We weren't going to get the same team from last year. We understand that, but we knew that we were better than what we were playing. And ever since then, we've been on a tear. 3 games in a row. I love it.
And you know what? I think you nailed it because, that game had so much emotions. It was a in-season tournament game, Trey Young, and you know how the national media feeds into this that, this Trey Young that he's basically the modern day Reggie Miller, the ultimate Nick villain. And you could tell, the Knicks were in control the first half of that game, but the second half, everything went off the rails. And you're right. And the Knicks, you can tell that game pissed them off. Hey, it pissed off a lot of Knicks fans. So I'm happy and I agree with you that they went full throttle. I do want to touch on really quickly, man, that game that they played against Minnesota this past week, Carl Anthony Towns returning to Minnesota, that was it. That showed that was an emotional game similar to the Hawks. And the Knicks showed up, dominated. Carl Anthony Towns dominated that game, 32 points, 20 rebounds. He's been balling. I just love how the Knicks are looking right now. Yes, it's very early. The defense is getting better. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. Mikael Bridges critics can't find them nowhere. Can't find them nowhere. I told y'all leave my boy alone. Brooklyn net Twitter. It's like 3 people, but they were talking their crap. They're quiet now. I'm loving it right now. I think right now the Knicks are a 8.5 point favorite. I think it's going to be a close game. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think Wemby's going to show up. Wemby's going to, it's Christmas in the Garden, man. I've been lucky enough to go to a Christmas game at the Garden. It's different. It does have a playoff feel, but I do think the Knicks come up with the W.
And I think you brought up something else that I think we need to touch on, just considering that we haven't really covered much Knicks yet. And it's the trade for Karl Anthony Towns that also shipped out Randall. And the way Randall was playing gave us all the feedback and all the, what's the word I'm looking for? But all the affirmations that you want to see that
Right,
we made the right move, because the way he acted after the game when Jalen Brunson was looking for him and he's in the locker room already
bro. That
and
was
looking for
petty.
that,
I'm sorry. That was petty. That
he
was
showed
petty.
that he showed that he wants to hold the ball, and you're not the guy on that team. We know, everybody knows it's Anthony Edwards, and you're turning it over whenever you get the ball. We clearly can see that we made the right move, and it sucks that we lost DiVincenzo part of that trade, but at the end of the day, we're being validated with how the Knicks are playing.
100%. And, I feel bad for DiVincenzo a little bit. You could tell he's still trying to find his way in that team. But going back to the Julius Randle thing, he did that here, bro. And as much as I love Julius Randle for, building the foundation to what we have and helping be that piece to kind of, get things started, there were times the thumbs down, when things aren't going his way. He's a very emotional guy. He wears heart on his sleeve. And look, me saying that's the pot calling the kettle black because I'm very much like that myself. But you know, there's been times where the Knicks have had bad losses and he just didn't make himself available to the media. So I thought that was a low blow move, not to acknowledge your boys. But I think you're right. That just shows. I think I went on Twitter and I jumped out the window. I don't care. Obviously, I know it's premature, but I don't care. The way I was feeling that night, I tweeted that the Knicks officially won that trade that night. Karl Anthony Towns showed that he kept his composure. And I love that he made it like he stated the obvious. No, this is not just a regular game. This is in a very emotional game. And Julius Randle before the game kind of tried to make it seem like it was a regular game. No, we know it wasn't. Don't lie to us. That wasn't the case. And Karl Anthony Towns showed up. Um, but Julius Randle is gonna have an opportunity to make up for his bad performance because his boys are scheduled to play the Dallas Mavericks, which is the second game of the 5 game schedule for the NBA, and that game is the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Dallas Mavericks. Brother, I think that's going to be a good game. this is the rematch of the Western Conference Finals. Although the Timberwolves look very different from that team that played Dallas, when you got two superstars, young superstars, Luka Doncic, you got Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, you throw in a little Kyrie, hey, you throw in Julius Randle. This is gonna be this is gonna be a good game.
Yeah, it is. And right now the Timberwolves aren't playing the best that they can be. They're 14 and 13. At least the Mavs are playing 18 and 10, or at least the record is 18 and 10. And you can see that, that team is it's taking off where they left off last year. And we understand that they only won one game in the finals last year against the Celtics. But as far as the Mavs go, they seem to be on the same page of where they need to be. I just want to see where this Timberwolves go, like, from here.
Yeah, and they're taking a little longer than expected. They were similar to the Knicks. Obviously, when you trade off a big piece like Karl Anthony Towns, who plays such a big role, and you throw in Julius Randle, whose style is different. Karl Anthony Towns can play off guys where Julius Randle needs more of the ball. But we all know in that team, Anthony Edwards is that kind of guy, superstar talent. He just got every trick, in his bag, as they would say. He's a phenomenal player. I think they'll end up. I do think that they'll end up getting things together. I think Anthony Edwards is too smart and too great of a player to do so. But you did highlight it. They're struggling right now. They're 6 of 4 in their last 10, but Dallas is 8 of 10, as you touched on. They're clicking. They made those midseason trades that, gave them some motivation, getting PJ Washington, getting Gafford from Washington. Um, and that propelled them. You know what I mean? That made them better defensively. Uh, and that's how they got to the NBA Finals. And this year, you can tell that they're all clicking. They finally had an off season to really gel. And then you add Klay Thompson. That team needed shooting. I know this is not Game 6 Klay Thompson that we're normally used to seeing in Golden State, but I do think he has been a healthy piece for that team. I like Dallas. I like Dallas in this matchup. I think right now Dallas is a 2.5 point favorite. So I think that's on the mark. I think it's gonna be a close game. I'm gonna side more with the home team. I'm gonna give that game to Dallas.
Yeah, and I'm on the same page as you. As far as Clay goes, Clay, I just think something needs to click for him, and I don't know what it is. But I mean, the Mavs are very scary if Clay can get it together, just because of what you have the potential with Kyrie and Luca.
100%. Um, they're definitely a Western Conference favorite. They're one of them, along with OKC and that. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's very still young. It's very early in the season still, but usually in the NBA, you want to be you want to be in good standing by Christmas though, because Christmas is always like that first barometer, that first level of where you analyze your team, because most teams are about 25 to 28 games in within that. So right now, if you're Dallas, you're feeling great. You feel good about your team. They're only 4.5 games back from first place, and if you're Minnesota, you kind of a little worried, but there's still time to get things gelling. So, that's the second game. Now, the third game of this schedule, Dave. Let me just put a disclaimer first. The NBA schedules come out before the season starts, especially the Christmas schedule comes out even before the regular season. This game before the season started was being looked at as a potential Eastern Conference Finals preview. However, that is not the case right now. This by far, Dave, is the most unwatchable game of the five. I'm sorry to Boston fans and Philly fans, but this game I just find not watchable. I don't even know if Paul George and Joel Embiid are going to be playing. I don't know. They come in, they come out, because of injuries. The Boston Celtics, although record-wise are sitting second place in the Eastern Conference, I still find them to be the best team in the league. This is not a watchable game as the 76ers play the Boston Celtics at 5 o'clock at Boston. Bro, this is just unwatchable. I'm sorry.
And this is one of those times that you really wish that the NBA flexed their games. Like, you really wish that they just would have swapped them out, because we get it, the Celtics, they're the hot team, they're the champs, but Nobody wants to watch the 76ers.
No. It's this is where Oklahoma City would have been nice. The fact that Oklahoma City doesn't have a Christmas game is horrible in my eyes. Even the Miami Heat, like Miami Heat, Orlando Magic, those teams. Like I said before the season started, it looked. I kind of wanted the Knicks to get this lineup. I wanted the Knicks to get the Celtics. However, I knew that they're gonna always want to put the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, so they put the Sixers. It made sense in the beginning, but it's just not a watchable game right now. It's definitely a game where it's an easy decision, not to watch this game. I don't even want to talk too much on it because it's just not much to talk about. The
I'm
Celtics are a
sure
nine
that,
and a half point favorite. It's going to be a blowout in my book. I think Maxey will perform well, but
bro, and I think there's
Celtics by
something
20.
else. I think there's something else that's going to be on TV at that time. So, we
Oh,
have
we're going to
options.
discuss that. We're going to discuss that because I think there is something on that on our time. But the next game, I think this is the for the NBA. This is the creme de la creme. It's the two legends, it's two icons going against each other as LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers take on Golden State, Steph Curry and them boys. 8 o'clock, that's the prime time. The two legacy guys, that's the NBA has been built around LeBron James for the past 20 years. Steph Curry now for the past maybe 10, 15. Don't quote me guys on that. But this is the legacy game. This is a tradition basically between Braun and Steph Curry, dating back from Braun's days in the second stint with Cleveland. Lakers, Golden State, brother. Let's talk about it.
I mean, look, the time slot already great. 8 o'clock. That's what 5 p.m. over there in the West Coast. That is prime time TV right there. You got two goats going at it. Um, what more can we say?
Yeah, and you hear you know the topic about the NBA and the low ratings has been a big discussion. Has been big water cooler talk, as they would say, the past couple weeks. And people are trying to figure out what's the reasoning of it. Is it style of play? Is it the NBA being on so many different streaming platforms where it's not making it easy for people to watch? And some people have also discussed about the lack of building stars, and that maybe these young talents haven't lived up to you know what LeBron and what Steph Curry have become. This is, I don't know. I feel like also, and I might get a lot of tomatoes in the chat for this, but I also think this game being scheduled is also uh, uh, a reason of why the NBA is suffering with their ratings. As we touched on, Christmas is a big day for the NBA. I get it. You want to showcase LeBron James and Golden and Steph Curry, but those guys are they're fading away. How many years does LeBron have left? How many years does Curry have left? Show your young stars. Give this game, honestly, instead of putting Golden State in LA, okay, you want to have Curry or you want to have LeBron? Put them against OKC. Show Shea Gildress Alexander on the biggest stage. Put them against LA in LA. Put them in against Golden State at Golden State. Okay, you don't want to give Oklahoma City a home game, but man, bro, you gotta get those guys on television when people are watching. That's how you build big stars. People who know hoops know who SGA is. But people who don't, the common casual, yeah, they know who LeBron is, but you know what? They don't know who SGA is. Those are guys you want to build around. They don't know Jalen Williams. Put those guys in that matchup. Put those guys, give them that platform. And I feel like this is the reason. It's you're relying too much on your older statesmen that are gonna be going soon. Start grooming those young guys. I don't know. I think this is a ratings grab at the very least because it's LeBron versus Curry.
Yeah, and the thing that you always want to see two greats going at it, right? That's something that you're always going to want to see, and we don't know how much longer we're going to get that. But how long and how much have we seen LeBron versus Curry? We've seen it in too many final matchups, and people were getting bored of that. We've seen that on Christmas games. People are getting bored of that. And you bring up a good point with as far as the TV and streaming platforms and everything. That is something that's going to draw people away from being able to watch it. If I can't watch it on my cable, if I'm paying for cable and you're telling me I have to go to Netflix now to watch something, or I have to go to Hulu, or I have to go to some other platform to watch the games that just made it easier if I just turned on my cable box and I can go to that game, I'm gonna be pissed off and I'm like, hell, it's Christmas Day. I'm gonna do something else. But then you bring back, let's bring it back to the games, and it's just yes, let's bring back showing other talents. There's another game right after this one that we're going to discuss. And I think that one could have also been changed around. We get it. There's stars on that one too, but they're not the matchup that we want to see. Bring in OKC against the Lakers, and then you could have had, and we're going to go into this, but you could have had the Warriors against the Suns.
100%. And I think everything that needs to be said was said about this game. Golden State's a 3.5 point favorite, so they got this game being very close. I think the Lakers would have been favored if the game is in LA, but the game's in Golden State. So I agree, and you kind of touched on it a little bit just now, brother. With the next game and the final game of the 5 game slate the NBA has for us is the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. That's at 10:30. That's the late night game. That game, I think, is a year too late. I understand that they did have history. I believe they play each other last year. I don't remember if they played each other last year in the playoffs, or I believe it was more 2 years ago. But um, on paper. It's a good game. You got the names. You got Jokic. You got Murray. You got Westbrook. You got Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant. I know Devin Booker's out, so he's probably gonna miss this game. You got the big names. I don't know if it's gonna make people watch. I don't think people care for this game either. I think hoops fan will. I will say this, brother, before you chime in, that the time slot of this game, being that I don't think it has much competition other than reruns of A Christmas Story on TBS. Oh, but other than that, this game is not sexy. This is a quote unquote Hoopers game.
Yeah, and the quote, Stephen A. Smith. I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care, and we don't care
We,
about this game. We really don't. I
no, we don't. The Suns, I know they started off hot. Obviously, they've had Bradley Beal, their big three, in and out of the lineup. I know I have all of them on my fantasy team. But Phoenix is sitting at 14 and 13. They're 4 and 6 in the last 10 games. Denver is 14 and 11. They're 5 and 5, so they've been playing 500 ball basically their last 10. These teams just don't look the same like they did a couple years ago. Denver is not that dominant team that they were 2 years ago when they won the title. They clearly lack shooting. You're hearing the rumors of Michael Porter potentially being shipped out because they need to make changes. The Phoenix Suns, they're pretty much stuck with that big three. Like I said, it has the big names. It's all sizzle, no steak, as they would say. Uh, you know, or steak or no sizzle. I don't know. I'm just saying that it has the big names. I just don't think this game is appealing enough. I do think it'll do well as far as ratings go because of it's just they're not going against much competition.
And I think one of the other biggest problems with the NBA this season, and I know that we can attest to it because we play fantasy, is the schedule sucks this year. Like we are dealing with games not being played on days that we should expect games to be played. The schedule is just messed up to me, and I think it's because of that Emirates Cup. Like, what is
Oh
that?
yeah, hold on. Well, you see, this is what you do, and as they say, you gaslight me, brother. You gaslight me because I was cool. This is a festive episode. I wasn't trying to get upset. I really wasn't trying to get mad. I wasn't trying to go, as they say, go off the script. I wanted to keep it tact. I want to talk about favorite Christmas movies. I want to talk about all this stuff. I want to talk about eggnog, coquito, whatever you drink. But you had to do it. I don't like that. I don't, you, as,
And I'm not trying to
I'm
put.
like Bruce Banner. You don't want to see me when I get upset, and I'm getting upset because you had to bring up the stupid Emirates Cup. So I'm going off the script. Your boy Omar's going off the script. And right now, I want to talk about it because the NBA, you're going through a popularity problem where your ratings are going down. The NBA is not like the NFL. Okay? The NBA probably has maybe 5 teams that have a traveling fan base. And what that means is For example, the New York Knicks, wherever the New York Knicks play outside of New York, they have a large contingent of fans that go and support, such as myself living in Miami. I go to the Heat games when the Knicks are there and I represent the Knicks. The NBA probably has five teams that way. However, the difference is the NFL, all their teams have a traveling fan base for the most part. The NBA doesn't have that. So you out here having basically glorified regular season games, games that nobody cares. Let's be honest. Nobody cares. There's no difference. It has a win-loss record to your season, and that's it. You have a glorified regular season game in a neutral arena in Las Vegas at that, where pretty much the people in Vegas there are going to see showgirls and gamble. They don't care about the NBA unless it has maybe the Knicks or the Lakers or whatever, because your teams aren't that popular. Not all 30 teams have that same aura as the Lakers, Knicks, Celtics, those sort of teams. So if you don't have those teams, you're going to struggle. So this past week, the Emirates in season, regular season championship, that means absolutely nothing, was the Milwaukee Bucks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I've been raving about the Thunder, but you know why it was a problem having those teams? Because you don't show the Thunder when you need to show the Thunder. So that's why when they make and they get into an important game, nobody's there to watch. Brother, that game was horrible, and I feel so bad for the guys calling that game on ESPN and trying to make it feel like it's a big deal, and it just wasn't a big deal. It wasn't. The crowd was not into it. Shoot, the tickets were like 30 freaking dollars, and the NBA they're reaching to try to make this popular, and it's just not clicking.
Yeah,
And I'm
and I
not
think
done. I'm not done. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not done because the NBA. Did you hear about this All Star game news? The All Star game. They changed the rules of the All Star game. And you know what? That didn't even piss me off. It's not even that pissed me off. You know what pissed me off is you got bozos like Kevin Durant, LeBron James talking about, oh, this format sucks. So basically, what the NBA in a nutshell reform the format of the All Star game. So basically, they're gonna take the 30, I think it's the 24 normal All Stars that would make it 12 on the East, 12 on the West, and they're going to break them into three teams, with the fourth team being a team full of basically rookies and sophomores in the NBA, and they're going to have like in tournament games during the whole thing. It's stupid, and then you guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron James that want to say it's stupid, which I agree, but you know what, LeBron and Kevin Durant, you guys are the reason. You guys are the reason the NBA are searching for formats that work in the All Star game. You know why? Because you don't take it serious. The All Star game is a joke because of you guys. You guys made it a joke. You guys don't play hard. You guys play more harder at a gym in freaking South Beach than you do in front of hard-paying fans that want to see an All-Star game. That's why All-Star games always finish like 185 to 200 because you guys don't take it serious. Everybody's dropping 40. And don't give me that crap you don't want to get hurt. Those guys in the 90s, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, all them guys. Look at the All-Star games in the 90s. Those guys are playing defense. Those guys are actually scouting. I'm sorry, brother.
it's okay.
I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. I'm gonna.
I have to get it off my chest. I wasn't trying to. This is a very festive episode. This is not an episode to be getting all mad. This episode to be happy, but you gaslit me.
You know what? I think you've been hitting the coquito a little bit earlier today. I'm just gonna think, but you know what? Let's bring you back on script. You know,
Thank you.
at the end of the day, we have
Thank
other
you.
stuff
Can
to
we move
cover.
on with the show? Can we
Yeah,
move
we
on with the
can.
show?
And I think we have to cover the NFL.
Let's
And
cover the NFL.
honestly, bro, I this is a season for giving, and I'm gonna tell you something. As a Jets hater, as probably their number one hater, this is
Wait,
the
brother.
perfect
Wait.
time.
This wasn't on the script. What are we doing? What are we doing? Are you
This is a festive, but needed, much needed Vega rant.
oh, oh,
Okay,
oh.
and here's the thing: the season of giving is here, and the Jets just give me material to just make fun of them over and over again. So this week we get news that Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, is making his decisions based off of what his teenagers are telling him about players' Madden ratings. And whether this is true or not, there's enough evidence against the Jets as far as the dysfunction that comes from that organization that just leads me to believe, you know what? This could be true. There is a billionaire owner who is listening to his 17-year-old son who plays Madden and tells him, "Hey, this kid is washed. Don't trade for him." And you know, there's it's just things that just add up on top of that. The Jets are just, oh man, thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you for trading and getting Aaron Rodgers. Thank you for doing all the pieces that you went and got for him. Alan Lazard. Um, I'm drawing blanks on
Devontae
another name
Adams,
right now.
Devontae
What was that?
Adams,
Devontae Adams,
Devontae
but there was another
Adams.
one that they picked up. But wasn't it Randall Cobb that they also picked up and didn't work out? And then you go and trade for Devontae Adams, and guess what? This is the blessing on top of it all. They're 4-10. So what did you trade for? You got nothing out of this. But you're on the bottom. You're not even ahead of the Dolphins. The Bills, they're probably going to go into the AFC East today against my Patriots. But guess what? You guys keep giving me the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you, New York Jets. Thank you, Woody Johnson. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers.
So, you know what? This show, honestly, bro, you are who keeps me in check when I go off the script. We cannot have off the scripts and Vega rants in the same episode, because then this show's gonna go out of control. This
I just
show's
need,
good.
I needed to show my appreciation. You know, 2024
And
was a struggling, hard year for all of us, and I get it. But thank you, Jets. Thank
the Jets find a way to give out the gifts. But now that we're on the NFL topic, I want to discuss uh this good old tale of how the NFL stole Christmas. Now, this episode is titled that because the NFL has stolen Christmas. And you say, who have they stole Christmas from? Well, they stole Christmas from the NBA because we discussed the five NBA games that's scheduled for Christmas. But you know what? The NFL has two games on the schedule for the Christmas holiday, and they got some heavy hitters. With the first game being the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a 1 o'clock game on Netflix. So this is the first time the NFL will be streaming a game on Netflix. Brother, let's talk about this game.
you. Yeah. So, all right, we got the Kansas City Chiefs, and we understand that they're 14-1, but that is a questionable 14-1. They could have easily been, I don't know, 9 wins into the season,
Yeah,
and
easily,
you know,
easily.
when you're the favorites, because I remember when the Patriots were on a hot streak, and I'm not trying to bring up the Patriots for the sake of it, I'm bringing it for a reason. When the Patriots were hot, there was a lot of criticism that the refs had their side and calls were gone their way. But there's a difference between, okay, maybe they touched Brady and they call the flag. There's a difference between that and what you constantly see affecting the outcome of Chiefs games. And I get it. These players and coaches are not supposed to call out the refs, but we all know what's happening in front of us. And then on the other side of that, you have the Steelers. And I'm going to tell you, I am surprised with the Steelers team. I don't like the Steelers, but I'm surprised with them because I questioned going into the season, what are you going to do with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields? And you have both of them doing what they need to for this team. You're 10-5. I didn't expect that record from you. I know the Steelers are known for being like a 8-8, or now we have a new game added to there, so they'll be like 9-8 or something like that. But they're doing a lot better than I thought they would. And all the pieces are coming along together. Like, I don't know how this coach Tomlin does it, but they're working.
Yeah, he finds a way to get the best, that gets the most juice from the squeeze. Um, I think you nailed it on the head with the Kansas City Chiefs. Their record is 14-1, but it's kind of a fool's gold kind of situation. With a record, if you really watch the games, they could, like you touched on, they could have easily had at least five losses, maybe even six. There've been games where field goal kickers are missing 30-yard kicks, a costly turnover that shouldn't have been a turnover or whatever. So, the ball bounces here, ball bounces there. Maybe they're sitting 9-6. like the Chargers and the Denver Broncos. With the Steelers though, bro, I have a different take on the Steelers, although I agree with you on them overachieving. I think now they're getting back to normal. They're one of those teams where their record also doesn't really really doesn't dictate who they really are. I think they don't have enough offense. I think Russell Wilson, although Russell Wilson has been playing well and better than what he has in Denver, I don't think they could put enough points on the board. Their defense is exceptional, and I think their defense is more the reason why their record is what it is. Um, but they just lost a big game as of this recording. They lost a big game yesterday to the Ravens. So right now they're sitting at 10-5 along with the Ravens. So although they clinched a playoff spot, they may lose an opportunity to win the division, and I think a team like that really needs home field to potentially win. I don't think they're good enough to win on the road. But we're gonna get into playoffs later on. But this has playoff implications. The Steelers are still trying to play for the division. The Kansas City Chiefs have locked up the division, and I believe they locked up. No, they haven't. They haven't locked up best record in the AFC. So both teams have something to play for. I like the
Yeah,
Chiefs in this matchup. Um, I think they're able to win a big game in Pittsburgh.
yeah. And if you're the Chiefs, you want that home field advantage. Let's just say before the Chiefs became who the Chiefs were, one of the things that was always said about that stadium is how loud it can get. And you want home field advantage. Besides the Seahawks stadium, Arrowhead is probably the second loudest stadium in the. I know it's between those two. I'll say that. So you want that home field advantage going into it, and then you got the little Swifty advantage on top of that. Come on, man.
Yeah, you
The
got the
NFL wants
Swifties,
this.
man.
The NFL
Yeah,
wants
you
this.
yeah, you got it. You know what I mean? Any way they can find a way to show Taylor Swift, I'm pretty sure Netflix will be showing her a lot. But there's also a second game, and there's also another important game. I think it's also another game where both teams are good, but they're going in different directions. And that's the Baltimore Ravens against the Houston Texans. That game is scheduled for 4:30 on Netflix as well. Um, Baltimore just had a big win, as I touched on, as of this recording, they had a big win against the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday, which they're now 10-5 with the Steelers, and they're in play now for potentially winning the division. The Houston Texans, on the other hand, although they have clinched their division, man, I think that's more because their division is not as good. They were starting hot, but right now they've kind of been lose one, win one, lose one, win one. CJ Stroud is struggling, and I know they've been dealing with injuries. They went a long period without Nico Collins. Um, and then they lose Stephon Diggs. And now unfortunately they lost Tank Dell yesterday. So that's going to be huge for them. And we wish Tank Dell very well, all the well wishes, and hope he has a speedy recovery. That injury looked very ugly, and so you already know they're going to be without him. But this is a game. It's at Houston. Baltimore's good. I don't know, but I kind of like Houston going in. But what's your thoughts on this game, bro?
Um, I'm going to lean the opposite way. I think the Ravens take this game. But with the Texans, there's a lot of things that they're the benefactors of a weak division. You have the Jaguars, you have the Titans, you have the Colts. The Colts aren't who they should be. Anthony Richardson is not working out for them, so that's the reason why the Colts are where they are. As far as the Texans go, you know, I I like CJ Stroud, but I think he's in for a rude awakening, and it's happening finally this year because I think coming into the season, he had a great rookie season, but the guy was talking like he was a 6 year vet, and he's not that guy. And you're learning a lot. You're learning very quickly. Things in the NFL are very hard. You made it seem like you were that guy. You in that podcast with Micah Parsons, you're talking too much for somebody who just came into the league last year. So it's not to criticize you. It's more so like you have to do the work and actually be that guy to be talking like that guy. And I think everything went downhill after he spoke to Caleb Williams after that game. Um, as far as the Ravens go, I mean, like Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest talents I've ever seen play the game. Like, I don't think, because the thing is that he's always been known for his running, but this guy's passing the ball. And We thought Zay Flowers was going to be the guy. Rashad Bateman is that guy. They're doing really good over there. And Derrick Henry, like nobody knew. We knew we were going to get some numbers from Derrick Henry. We didn't think he'd be second in the league in rushing. So
Yeah.
I think this is a game where the Ravens take it, and it's going to be really interesting as far as the Ravens and Steelers finishing. They're both, clinched the wild card games, but mm, I'm really interested how that division shakes up. I don't like the Steelers, so I definitely want them to lose, but I see the Ravens winning this game.
Yeah, I can't argue that, although I think Houston's able to pull it off. If they could keep this game close, because the fans are gonna be into it, because I don't know if it's been confirmed. It's been announced, but they really haven't confirmed it. But the halftime show of the Houston Baltimore game is no other than Beyonce. So Beyonce, the Beehive, are gonna have all eyeballs. They're talking about Chief Taylor Swift. Who? The Queen Bee is supposed to be doing the halftime show for this game. So I do think that's gonna get the crowd wild up. She is from Houston, so it makes all the sense in the world. It's a big showcase for Netflix. Beyonce, man, Beyonce's gonna get the women watching this game.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse. This is a lot of the Jay Z connection with the NFL also playing a hand into this. I'm sure Netflix is dropping whatever bag they need to have Beyonce there. Um, but this is really big for the NFL as far as this goes. We understand that they are taking Christmas away from the NBA, but as far as like, all right, putting something as close to the level of the Super Bowl, you're having a halftime performance by one of the biggest artists in the world. You're gonna tell me people are not gonna be tuned in?
Yeah, I think this is big. You know, you said it. This is almost like the Super Bowl, where, you're getting Beyonce to do a halftime show of a regular season game. And this is big stepper kind of moves. As you touched on, Jay-Z is, I think, almost leads like the committee as far as entertainment goes with the NFL. So he has a big say on who performs and stuff like that. With Kendrick Lamar doing the Super Bowl and that sort of stuff. And you saw the Thanksgiving. I think the Detroit Lions had Shabuzi, who, he's like one of the, biggest up and coming country artists right now. Uh, but what the NFL is doing is what the NBA needs to do to fix their ratings, and you have to get the casual fans watching. At the end of the day, yes, the NFL is men, but you know what the NFL also wants to do? They want to grab your wives. They want your girlfriend. They want your mom watching. It's a reason why Usher, Rihanna, those people are doing the halftime shows. And
Bruno
now you
Mars.
get Beyonce, the queen bee. Hey, man, they don't only want you, Tom, watching this game. Yeah, they want you to watch it, and then you go and you get a beer break during halftime. But then they want your wife Jill glued to the TV watching Beyonce, because you know what? Jill's gonna be in that book club group chat talking about, hey, Beyonce's performing, girl.
Yeah.
You know what I
And I
mean?
mean, we
So
and we already seen Beyonce before in the Super Bowl, so we already know she could put on a show. We know this for a fact. So I'm looking forward to what does she do this time.
yeah, and the NFL has done something very, very smart. And, we kind of touched on it before we started discussing NFL games, and it's how the NFL stole Christmas. Now, for those that may not know, the NFL typically scheduled from 1989, basically the year I was born. Don't want to age myself though. From 1989 to 2019, the NFL has had games on Christmas. They had it. However, they've only had it when Christmas coincidentally just fell on days where football was played. Normally, which would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Thursday for years later on. But in 2020 was the start of the of the NFL scheduling a game on Christmas. And 2020 had a big ratings boom. Big ratings boom. 2021, they actually defeated the NBA in the ratings. And since then, the NFL they have made it their business to schedule games on Christmas. And that doesn't help the NBA because although the NBA is popular, it's not even on the spectrum of the NFL. And the NFL just straight bullied them. And it leads to our title. The NFL stole Christmas from the NBA, a tradition that most people watch. You know, you had the NBA games, now you're watching football. But I also want to talk about that. I want to talk about what are we watching. We went over all the games, the five NBA games. We went over the two NFL games. Most of them are going head to head with each other. Um, what are you watching, bro? And what do you think the consensus of America and everyone around the world is going to be watching?
So, you know, I think it's going to go case by case. And what's going to happen is, the first game I'm going to be watching that day is the Knicks game. I have to watch my Knicks. But let's say we're going down to the wee hours, and let's say the Mavericks and Timberwolves game isn't going as well as it's going. Well, you know what? I might tune in and watch the Chiefs game just for a bit. I know I'm not going to be watching the Celtics game, so I think we'll be watching the Texans and Ravens. Just how it
Yeah,
falls.
yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the Knicks, I think the Knicks, although I think the NFL is gonna bamboozle them in the ratings. I do think so. I don't think there's any game the NBA has slated that's gonna beat the NFL, unfortunately. Now I don't know how those numbers are gonna come out because NFL is gonna be directly streamed. So it's not gonna be on your traditional television as far as like cable and that sort of thing. I think they get steamrolled. I know I'm watching the Knicks as you touched on. So I think the NBA does get an uptick in rate. I think you're going to see a roller coaster. I think you're
Yeah,
going to see a high point with the Knicks. I think then it starts to dip. You know, although Dallas and the Minnesota game has the two stars, there's still two markets that, you know what I mean? And then it's going to go even down with the 76ers and Boston. I think that window between those two games are going to really struggle. Because I think,
I think
with the NFL, the thing the NFL got going for them, they have the names and they have the storylines. Every team involved in in that schedule playing that day all have something to play for. And even if the Houston Texans don't, as we touched on, Beyonce is gonna bring eyeballs there. So the NBA has a tough one. You know, the NFL has pretty much bullied the NBA now on Christmas, and I blame Grinch Goodell. Right? I blame Grinch Goodell for it. He saw it. He saw it in 2020. And he's like, you know what? NFL's king in this town, and we're just gonna steal Christmas from the NBA.
Yeah, and there's just two things to touch on that. So, what could help the NBA as far as the ratings go would be that they're going to be on ABC. That is a local channel. And not everybody has Netflix these days. Netflix keeps increasing their prices. So, that's one thing that I'm thinking about that is just like maybe, yes, you're going to get eyeballs on the NFL. You always do. But what could help people is just, okay, I already have ABC. I'm going to tune into that channel and I can see these games already. I don't want to subscribe to Netflix. Even if you do a trial run, because we know people do that. You make an email for that day, you get at Netflix for like a week or two, and then you cancel. But I see people more so tuning in. The problem with the NBA is that we understand that it is one of the biggest growing sports in the world. There are eyes on the NBA all over the world. You have people, it's an
Globally, they're
international
big.
game
Yeah.
compared to the NFL. What helps the NFL is that the US loves football so much that that's what boosts the ratings over here. What helps the NBA is when they start putting those international stars. That's why you have the Lukas, the Jokic, and all those guys on TV because we understand people from other countries are going to be tuning in to watch these stars. But as far as the ratings go, I don't know how that's going to play out. I just see that the NBA having games on ESPN, ABC is going to be into their favor. We'll see how everything plays out after.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that point. I think it makes it a lot easier to access. It's on local television too, so you don't need cable necessarily. I'm interested to see how the Knicks game does because it is also a simulcast that they're doing with Disney. So that game is going to be on Disney Plus, where the NBA players are going to be in Disney, like Disney form with Mickey and stuff like that. So we don't know if parents are gonna have their kids do it. So I don't know how that works, but you're right. I think Netflix, and we didn't touch on this real fast. Netflix, get it together. I don't want to see any lagging. That's one thing I don't want. You're gonna get a lot of people watching. We don't need another Jake Paul, Mike Tyson situation where it's an overload of, because people are trying to tap in and watch the game. So I hope Netflix fix that problem, and I hope they are ready for the influx of people that's going to be watching that game. Um, but brother, we touched on a big slate of games this Christmas, but we can also squeeze in. We can also squeeze in our favorite Christmas movies. You know what I mean? There's gonna be periods where there's no games, and it's like, hey, let's pop on a Christmas movie. And everyone has a favorite Christmas movie. Everyone, yeah, you know what I mean, that they want to watch during the holidays over some hot chocolate or eggnog or coquito or whatever with some freshly baked cookies or whatever you want to do. Um, for me, that movie is, and this is not your typical Christmas movie that people normally pick, the Home Alones or whatever, but my movie is I'll Be Home for Christmas. Now, that movie came out in the 90s. That's with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, a young Jessica Biel. I love that movie because I remember that movie coming out. It felt like a teenage Christmas movie. It wasn't your traditional little kid Christmas movie. I watch it every year. I literally watch that movie every year. That's my go-to Christmas movie. It doesn't get played on your local networks, but it is available on Disney Plus. I'll Be Home for Christmas is my favorite holiday movie. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Jessica Biel. You guys should check it out if you haven't. Dave, what's yours?
All right, so my favorite movie of all time is The Nightmare Before Christmas, but it is a Halloween movie and Christmas movie. So we're gonna stick to just Christmas. And my favorite Christmas movie of all time happens to be How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And The Grinch Stole Christmas. I mean, Jim Carrey is one of the best comedic actors of all times. If there's nobody else who could have played that character as well as he did. And I get it, he doesn't want to do that movie or doesn't want to do any movie with prosthetics and stuff like that all over his face. But if there can do a part two, I will be in there. I love The Grinch.
He's been open to it. He's been open to it now with the way technology is and everything with motion capture and CGI and that sort of stuff. That is a great movie too as well. You know what I mean? He did a lot though during that time wearing a big bodysuit. I know he's been on record in interviews talking about how, he couldn't breathe in it and he just felt so claustrophobic in the suit. But we did good, guys. Guys, this was an exciting episode. I know Dave and I, when we were formatting the very first pilot, he can tell you this was the show I was looking forward to the most. I love Christmas, I love the holiday season, and I love sports. And Christmas has always been a big sports thing in my household from when I was a child, and I've kept that tradition here in my home now. And I love that I have the opportunity to spend time with family and switch in between each game. Christmas came a little early for me. Got the 85 downstairs, but I love this time of the season, and you know, we love that you guys are supporting us. And the way to support us, guys, is to please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, throw your comments in. That's the way that you just show your support for us. And, we appreciate it. Like right now, our channel is continuing to grow, and we're excited for that. Please follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, as we are keep you up to date on everything sports when it comes to Yankees, Knicks, Jets, and the Giants. And, we're tapped in everywhere, and we just want you guys to continue to support us. We appreciate that. If you want to give us a gift for the holiday season, just subscribe. That's all it
And
takes.
share
Subscribe
the
to us.
videos, please. Sharing does us a lot of favors. We understand that, it's easy to just watch our stuff and like it and subscribe, but we also appreciate when you guys do share this video to everyone as well. Show it to your friends. Send them a little Christmas gift. Maybe they want to laugh. Maybe they want to tune in with the boys.
Yeah, watch it in. You know what I mean? If you're opening gifts in the morning or whatever, you'll have this episode to play. This is a very festive episode. So, guys, thank you so much for tapping in with us today. We will have a brand new episode next Monday. It will be available 12 noon on the official Ozone YouTube channel. It's going to be a New Year episode. We're going to be discussing everything. We're going to be discussing resolutions for our teams, goals that we would like to set as the Ozone next year. So you know, stay tuned for that. But right now, guys, we thank you guys so much. We hope that you guys have a wonderful holidays. Enjoy your Christmas, and we see you guys next week. Peace.